Hello and welcome back to my channel. We continue with our, hopefully the final session of our character creation. It's been quite a process. We've already got 3 characters completed. We just finished Fiora. She was quite an impressive individual. The reason I've got these little you might be familiar from the AD&D channel. I'm using these as my little, either my character avatars or opposition monsters, and maybe I am going to probably use these again for the Traveller game. But I am aware that I have when we started playing back in the 70s, they I think it was Games Workshop released some miniatures, and I do have the miniatures for I think I have about 4 or 5 of the sets that was released, and it had about 10 miniatures covering a theme, so that you would get like an adventure one, you'd get like a military one, you'd get a Vagra one, you'd get Aslan, Joiny, all that type of stuff. I'm sure I have about 5 or 6 of them, and they're out in the garage somewhere, so I'm going to see if I can get them, and I might be able to use them as the some of the things in it, and that would be quite nice. But I think these are quite good substitutes. You know, these are in our official Traveller colours, and these do quite serviceable as well for our characters. You know, I've got 4 of them. I've got different colours. I've got the 4, so we could have that for our 4 characters. You know, that would work. Okay. So we have one character left to go, and that is, if you remember, Kira Gaines, from the agricultural planet of Primax. When we rolled her up, she was generated as a female, a Marine, going into the Marine service. When we generated her personality, we came up with cruel, which was 55 on our list. And cruel means cruel, shows a callous side, so she's callous. It was pretty high on the Richter scale. It was a 4 out of 6. You know, she's pretty cruel. She's pretty callous. And I'm thinking, well, what is the reason? You know, before we get kicked off with Kira, and I was thinking, well, you know, she says from this agricultural world of Primax. Now, maybe Primax is it's not what it kind of seems. Let's say that she's had quite a harsh upbringing on Primax, and Primax is a bit of a horror story. It is populated by giant insectoid species. That's the form of life, and their form of agriculture is by taking farming and almost like milking some of the almost like aphid-like species from their glands, and taking the secretions and giving them to big pharma companies to transport off world. And as a consequence, you know, it's quite an unpleasant kind of lifestyle. There are some also natural fauna problems. The rest of the environment is very hostile. All the fauna either it bites you or cuts you, or it's sharp and barbed. It's all insectoid. The extreme apex predator is something equivalent to, if you remember the film, the Paul Verhoeven film, Starship Troopers. It was one of those great big warrior type bugs, arachnids. You know, it's almost the size of a tank. Very aggressive, terribly sharp claws, and these are carnivorous. You know, there's not millions of them like in the film. You know, there's a few. They kind of roam around like a T-Rex type predator, but you know, it's a very, very dangerous. All the locals, you know, with the definition of agriculture, it can be like a lower population planet. It doesn't have to be exceptionally high. They live all in fortified settlements. It's a ruthless, punishing environment. So this has kind of honed Kira. It's kind of shaped her life. Maybe she's seen some close ones and relatives killed in this environment. It's she has been conditioned. She's almost been numbed by the environment. She's now got quite a low view of the value of human life, and it's almost like she has a cruel streak, as a kind of coping mechanism to get on with life. So, you know, she's coming into she's been offered the opportunity of getting into the Marine Corps. You know, maybe there's a recruiting station, because they've had maybe a local detachment of Marines from the Imperium are being brought in to deal with some very, very serious predators. She's been so impressed by their professionalism and their courage, and you know, the armor they wear, and the swagger. She says that's the career for me. This is my chance to get off world from this awful place. Primax, you know, adios. Okay, so you know, maybe that could be backstory for Kira, and you know, let's not maybe just be too quick to judge and say, you know, she's just a nasty piece of works. It seems to be more to do with nature rather than nurture rather than nature. Who knows? Let's see how she fares in this career. It could be that she is just a bit of a nasty person, and it's just being kind of amplified by the environment, or is she got a heart of gold in there? We can tone down the callous side. So let's find out. And that's the beauty of the Traveller career system. You can just mold it to whatever circumstances you want, and let the dice fly, and we'll see. So let me get my fresh sheet. So based on all our previous character sheets, we'll put down Kira's name, which is, so she is Kira Gaines, and she's going into the Marines. We randomly selected Marines. She is a female, and her current personality is cruel, 55, and it's level 4. So on the face of it, she's a bit not very nice person. So let's see what her service history is. Now I'm saying, you know, she's going to get into the Marines. She has to get in first. So let's see what the first thing we need to do is decide what her UPP is. So strength, dexterity, endurance, intelligence, education, and social. So let's see what characteristics the Marines get as a bonus. So according to our table, so the Marines enlistment is very high threshold. So we need intelligence and strength, endurance to survive. So I always go for the endurance element as being important. I know that it's like strength because you get a +2 DM. So I think they're the ones that are pushing me. But look, the Marines are all over the place. You know, social is important, education, intelligence. You know, you kind of really need an all-rounder here. This is where we could probably have done with a character like Fiora. she would have probably done quite well in the Marines. Let's see how Kira fares. So let's go for strength and endurance as being our two prime requisites for Marines, and we'll get 3 dice and take the best 2. So strength first, we get to use our red dice as well. So let's hope that we can get a nice hefty strength roll. We need 8+. So maybe not such a great start. Strength 7. So Kira, yes, maybe she's not as strong as maybe strong-willed, but not strong physically. It's still average strength. It's probably pretty good. And then dexterity, yes, 7. That's average. Endurance doesn't get any. Oh, endurance gets an extra, because that's our survival roll. So let's have a look at that. So that's it. Yeah, it's helped out there. We get a 9. And that will help with survival because we need an endurance of 8+ to get a +2 DM. We've still got to get in first though. And it's not looking too great for enlistment. So intelligence, we really could do with a high intelligence roll. So let's see what we get. Yeah, that's a 9. That's good. Yeah, we needed that. That will give us a +1 DM to get in on enlistment. You can see there. And it doesn't really come up anywhere else, but it might be useful in enlistment. That's a pity we didn't get a good strength. You know, we should have got a good strength, really. We have 3 dice. But that's just the luck of the draw. Education, 9. That's good. So the tail end stats seem to be coming in. And then social, 6. So maybe just a regular farming background, you know, just a usual, nothing special. Okay, right. So it comes to enlistment. So she might be impressed by the Marines, but are the Marines impressed by Kira? She goes for the entrance exam. It's a 9+ roll. She has an intelligence of 9, so she gets +1. She doesn't have a strength of 8, so she doesn't get the +2. So it's an 8+ to get in. 8+ to get in. Ooh, okay. What's it going to be? Come on, Kira. This is where we could do with a good roll. No. No, she doesn't. She fails the entrance. So they must think, oh, there's something just not quite right. She hasn't got the physical attributes that we need for her. And maybe the Marines are on this planet, and they have been conditioned to the harsh conditions, and they've got very high, almost like higher standards than an Imperium average. You know, you really ought to be a tough individual to and even all that stuff about her growing up on this and this having harsh, it hasn't really paid off. So you know what that means? That means we go for the draft, and we have to roll 1d6, and we randomly select what we're going to get. So we might even get back into the Marines if we get a 2. So let's see what we get. So we haven't had a draft before, so you can see the draft in operation now. So we get a 1. The Navy. Okay, so we get drafted into the Navy. So maybe there was the ship that brought the Marines and the garrison. It's a naval ship, and they've decided they need some emergency staff filling, and they just start plucking up individuals from this planet and whisk them off for Navy training, almost like press gang them in, saying, anyways, we need to get our quotas up. There's someone, she's just failed the Marine entrance thing, let's snap her up and take her off on our ship. I mean, it's a Navy life for her, not the kind of the Marine type thing that she was going to get. So we've got a naval candidate, And when it comes to the draft, you can't go for any form of commission or promotion in your first term. I'm sure that's what it says. Just familiarise myself again with the draft just to make sure. I suppose the one thing that we didn't get was a 6, because the 6 would have got us into the Citizens of the Imperium supplement, and we could have had a pirate, we could have had a rogue, we could have anything we wanted. But no, we're going to stick to the 6 services. So the draft, should an attempt at enlistment fail, the character must submit to the draft. Each of the 6 services has a draft number. The draftee rolls 1 dice and enters the service with that draft number. Note that it is possible for a character to be drafted into the very service. Yes, we know all about that. Draftees are not eligible for commissions during the first term of service. They do become eligible during the second and subsequent terms. Okay. Right. So we're in the Navy. We're not going to get a commission in our first term. So let's just start off and see how what would have our requisites would have been. So survival, it needs intelligence, which we've got. That's good. Yeah, we've got the things, and education. So we probably would have got into the Navy quite well. It would have been a good chance to get into the Navy. So we've got what it takes, what the Navy's looking for. It tends to be a bit more on the social side. So it's who you know type thing, and it's kind of a bit old school. So social is a good thing to get you into the officer corps in the first place. It's almost like based on a status thing, and so we're really kind of weak on that. So it might be difficult for us to get a commission, but let's see how we get on. Okay, let's do our survival roll. So we have a 5+. We get a +2. Because of our intelligence, which is 9, so it's a 3+ to survive our first term in the Navy. We weren't really expecting that. We thought we'd have this illustrious career as a Marine. 7, that's fine. So that's well over. So there's maybe it's just a kind of standard service term. We'd wish to do shipboard operations, maybe a few military exercises, nothing more than that. No real kind of either boarding encounters or any attacks or pirate interventions or whatever. It could just be we're just flying around in a cruiser, just doing regular patrolling of the space lanes. Nothing too much in our first term. We're not allowable for a commission, so you won't be able to have access to promotion. But we will get initially two skills in our first term. We don't have any special skills on my special Navy pre-life thing. Yeah. We have a chance of getting to 0G combat 8+ level 1. So when we get to 2 terms, we can try to get level 1 0G, and also liaison is another one that we can maybe get access to. Right. Okay, that's good. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. Okay. Let's look at our first term. Term 1, and we get 2 skills. So let's have a look and see. I don't think we'll go for our personal development. Maybe we could try to boost our social. Although I think we really are clutching at straws a bit, because the social criteria is so high. We'd have to get it to 9. It's at 6, so maybe we just give up on the social side. What else helps? Intelligence. Well, maybe we need to just kind of see if we can boost our physical side. Maybe looking for strength and dexterity. That would be good. So we'll go for one of them, and we'll do a service skill as well. Okay, just get into ship's life, and then kind of hold off on maybe some of the advanced stuff for next term. Okay, let's do that. So let's see if we can increase our physical. Yeah, we do. We get a +2. We get a +1 on dexterity. That's good with a 2. That's what we kind of needed. So that goes up to 8. And we also go for some ship's life. Excuse me. We get a 3. Forward observer. That's not exactly. What I might do with forward observer is I might substitute that as a kind of recon thing. It's quite a specialized skill. Yeah, let's just have that just now, and we can always kind of revisit it. So our first term, it hasn't really been too eventful. Nothing special out of the blue. Just regular up and down the space lanes. And she's got some rather kind of not amazing skill learning, you know, maybe on the observation deck and doing lots of sort of recon based kind of activities. Right, let's see if we can re-enlist. So yeah, so the Kira trajectory hasn't really been, it's been a wee bit on the disappointing side so far. So she can re-enlist with a 6. So this would be a terrible end, wouldn't it? Like she didn't re-enlist. So let's find out. We get an 8, so she does. She gets in back fine. She's doing absolutely fine. So let's start term 2. See if she gets some form of commission this time. But first of all, we do the survival roll, and it's going to be a 3+. So let's get my dice out. We have a 10, so she survives quite easily. Again, maybe an uneventful tour. You know, she seems to be kept out of danger. Maybe this is going to be her maybe a bit more intensive kind of training period. So she's really kind of she's really going for it this time trying to go for this commission. She would have needed a social of 9. She's actually quite low down in society. She's not going to get any leg up. There's a bit of a kind of snobbery in the Navy. Sort of baked into the Imperium Navy social hierarchy. Remember, we're dealing with effectively a feudal technocracy. It's an advanced society, but it's based on a feudal basis where social status is very important. A bit like maybe say the British Empire continued into the future, or if you think of Dune, that's all based on barons and dukes, and you know, basically the same kind of feudal structure. And status is very important. That kind of dictates how far you get in society, and it seems to be baked into some of the professions, particularly the Navy. You know, the Marines have an element of it too, you know, to do with promotion. It's kind of like who you know, sort of old boys network type thing. So, you know, a long-winded way I'm saying it's going to be a bit difficult for Kira to break the glass ceiling on this and get into the officer corps. But we're all behind her. We're looking for a 10 plus on this. It's quite a tall order, but Kira, we've got too cruel to be kind. We fail quite badly, actually. So that's quite a negative, and I know it's a high threshold, but that's quite a very bad fail. So is that going to give me cause for concern for her negatives? So let's just have a look and see whether it's so this is her going for her commission. We got a pretty bad negative. We got a 6. All right, so there's a bit of a, maybe she's, this is quite a sad story now. You know, we've got lose weight, loss of motivation, personal crisis, breakdown, mental health, bereavement, personal loss. So how many is that? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh no, we've got 7. So we can do bereavement personal loss as 1. So we'll just do a d6 and I'll read them along and see what we get. We get a 2. So loss of motivation. Okay, so she's become a bit despondent. Maybe it's she's so disappointed that she hasn't got a commission. She doesn't get access to all these amazing skills that you could get in the Navy. She feels she's been quite kind of boxed in by this profession. Maybe there's a bit of bitter resentment kind of brewing up. It's not really helping her cruelty issues, her callous nature. Maybe it's just too much on display, and she just keeps on rubbing up people the wrong way. She's not diplomatic. She doesn't use that smoothness that is expected. Yeah, it's not really going her way. So I would say yes. She needs maybe a bit of help here. What might come to our rescue is the fact that we have a skill that we can still do because we have a service. So we'll do our skill and see whether she can invest a bit of time in something that is worthwhile and we don't get forward observer again. So let's get away from this. And in fact, she's got an education of 9. So let's go for something really quite high level. And we'll roll on the advanced education with the 8+ requirement and see if we can get something that gets her motivated again, gets her back into society. And it's a 6. And she gets administration. A lot of our characters are being in administration. It seems like it's turning into an administration kind of campaign. So it's all going to be about bureaucracy and shuffling around giant corporations and organizations. No, I'm sure it's not going to be. These skills have their use in negotiating the travel of the universe. We'll just apply that in that context. She also has access to this. Now I'm going to rule that she wouldn't get access to liaison because that's more to do with being an officer. So she won't be able to do that. But 0G combat, yes. So an 8+, she can get 0G combat. If she hasn't been able to shoot anything, she can get 0G combat. So yes, so she does get 0G. Okay, and that's the maximum that we're going to be able to get. So 0G combat, so she must do some special training while she's doing the paperwork, extracurricular. She's floating around outside the spaceship, getting some combat simulations going, which has maybe got her back. It's almost like got her mojo back again. She's got something to get her teeth into. This admin thing maybe she's found. She thinks, oh, I actually quite like all this bureaucracy stuff. It's so different from that awful farm I was on, milking those aphid things, and sitting in terror that I was going to be chopped in two by one of those awful apex predators. Anything's better than that. So it's almost like she's back with us. Everything's okay. She just needs to get re-enlisted into the Navy. It's going to be again a bit of a tall order. It's a 6+. It's not a given. So she's got her fingers crossed. She's hoping that she's got the right attitude now. She gets a 7. She just makes it. I would say that's a bit of a let's. I know it's not technically a close shave, but maybe there's just been a wee bit of a wrinkle in the re-enlistment process. It's not quite gone as swimmingly as we thought it was going to. We'll just see if we can add a bit of colour to the reason. 3. Maybe there's a bit of poor performance accusations. Competency, oh no, the addiction issues. Oh, right, okay, it has to be done. It has to be done. And this will just be like maybe a rumor of something. It's not going to be that you're actually this, because it's not a close shave. It's just like one above a close shave. It's a potential, maybe it's a rumor, a vicious rumor going around. So let's see what the vicious rumor is saying. He's got an addiction. That's that Kira. She's a druggie. She's a drunk. She's always drunk on duty. That's why she's a nasty temper. She's kind of like a whiskey kind of person. She gets all angry. So there's maybe some addiction-ish, and it's just rumor. It's not. Maybe she's developed a bit of a reputation as being a bit of a hard drinker. And when she gets a drink in her, maybe her callous side is kind of ramped up a bit, and it's not a good idea. And she's not one of what you would call a sociable drinker. She can be quite hard. So addiction is the rumor. So that is that was on the re-enlistment. Okay. Right, so we are okay for term 3. Yeah. So I think at least we've got a chance of getting into term 3. What we really need to do is some good life skills, and fingers crossed to commission. But as you see, it's not easy to do this in the Navy. So let's do our survival role first. We need a 3+. And accruing like 1 skill at a term is really quite, it's just like ticking over. It's nothing really special. We pass our survival fight again. Well, maybe a bit more kind of hostile actions. We're actually involved in some military drills and maybe some small skirmishing. Maybe there's a boarding action that Kira witnesses. It's hotted up a bit. And maybe there's some local conflict that we're right in the middle of. And then we have our crunch roll for commission. So we could really do with a 10+. So she's got fingers crossed again. She's motivated. We fail quite badly again. So there really is a glass ceiling there. It's just not happening. Is there a negative? Is there some other reason why we're not performing? Some terrible reason and this is definitely it's a very bad fail, because it's a 10 and it was almost a fail by 6, so that's double. And I know it's a high threshold, but even still, it's still a bad fail. So we get a 4. Oh dear, under investigation by the authorities, internal affairs, internal audit, fraud, embezzlement charges. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just roll a 6. Let's see what happens. Embezzlement charges. Maybe her admin. She's working in the office, in the accounts area, and she's being accused. Bit of scandal going on about embezzlement. There's a cloud going on. So embezzlement. This isn't looking good for her service record. So embezzlement concerns. This hasn't materialized into anything. She's not had to face formal charges or anything, but there's something maybe going on. That she's under suspicion, and maybe the admin side, she's been kind of almost like excluded from that, and maybe that's where she was trying to get her commission in, or entry through the admin side, but now that's almost been closed off as well. So she's really not having too much joy. So all we have to do is try to roll for a skill. So she definitely still wants to try and get something high end. She could get something like pilot or medical or navigation. She could really be part of the ship's crew. She really needs to go for it. She's still motivated. She wants to go for that type of thing. So she thinks, well, this is my chance. Let's see what I can get. I get a 5. I get pilot. Whoa, what an opportunity. That's exactly what you would want. She gets the amazing opportunity of pilot in her 3rd term, and that is a real status thing, because the pilots are always like a kind of flashy, elite kind of, you know, wear the sunglasses and do the Tom Cruise thing. You know, or maybe that's for fighters, but you know, they're probably like the Starship pilots are in the same kind of class. So that is good. I think we can go for another re-enlistment on that basis. So we'll do double 6 and see what we get. We get a 6. We just make it, so that's a close shave. Oh dear. So we invoke the table. At least we've got a term 4. We invoke the table of re-enlistment roll failure, which we seem to have consulted on a regular occasion. So we get a 4, disciplinary action, behavioral issues, trust issues. It's still haunting her. It's like hanging around. Yeah, the embezzlement thing. Let's just do a 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, and see what happens. Yeah, this is a bit more disciplinary. So she's done something in her roles. So maybe she was a bit cavalier when she was piloting, when she was given almost autonomy to take the ship out of port, and she did that sort of thing that they do in Star Trek all the time, where they kind of muck around a bit. You know, they're just almost like, you know, try to do a kind of maneuver that's just almost like a bit risky, and it's slightly, you know, the alarm slightly goes off and goes meh, meh. And she does that, but it doesn't really come off, and she actually causes a bit of damage, and she gets a bit of dressing down about that and saying, don't do that again. We'll revoke your pilot 1 if you do that. So that's not good. So that is a disciplinary. So, you know, it's not really looking great. We've got what we've got. We've got addiction, we've got embezzlement concerns, we've got disciplinary for piloting. It's not a great service history, and our skill base, apart from the pilot and the admin, it's not really jumping out at us. I might be able to spice up Forward Observer a wee bit, but you know, I'm going to have a think about that. Okay, so let's do term 4. We'll do the survival again. We need a 3+. 3+ to survive. Yeah, it's. I would say that we are involved in some shipboard action. Maybe there's been a fleet battle. Maybe taking on either pirates or maybe one of the small states that have been breaking away. You know, some rebel type forces, and they're in an alliance with space pirates, and we are involved in quite a conflict around some moon, some isolated moon. We're kind of cornered, and Kira's involved in the piloting of the vessel. We escape, and maybe this her tarnished career is potentially being helped, massaged by her swift action and sharp focus mind, and helping with piloting the ship out of trouble. So could this be rewarded with a commission? So let's keep our fingers crossed and see if we can get a 10 plus for Kira. What's it going to be? We're not too far. We're almost there. We did, you know, that's the closest we came. And maybe even after all the good work she did, just wasn't enough. This is, again, it's a very closed shop type environment. It's who you know. It's whether you're from the right family. It's just not fair. But then, you know, life isn't fair, and in the Imperium, you know, it's almost like you double down on that. It's definitely not fair. This whole system is designed not to be fair. That's just it. You've got to kind of suck it up. So I'm just going to say that we're going to have this is going to be our last term. We have one more opportunity to get a skill. What shall we go for? Is there anything we can get gun combat? We can in service skill. I'm going to say that we'll ignore forward observer. In fact, I think I might even take forward observer out and replace it with something. I'm almost minded to do that. I'm really not au fait with forward observer. Yeah, let me have a think about that. If we don't get, say, a gun combat, I'll replace forward observer with gun combat. So that means I think we could do one of these ones, which are more kind of almost like get your hands dirty type sort of skills. Let's do that for our last turn. Yeah. And we've got the chance of getting gun combat and ditching. So we get Vaxit. So that's useful. We can use a Vaxit, and this is the only character that has that expertise. So say if we need to be shown how to do it, she can help us out if we get into that kind of situation. Okay, right. I would say that she goes to her captain and she says, "Look, I think I feel like I've had a good throw of the dice for this. Maybe Navy life isn't really helping exactly what I wanted it to do. I achieved the pinnacle of my success with my piloting, and I do appreciate the fact that you've given me that opportunity. However, I feel the draw of the stars. I want to go out and travel all these amazing planets and star systems that I have had the privilege of seeing in a naval capacity. I'd like to do that as a private individual. Thank you very much." And he says, "Yeah, that's fine. You just need to roll on the re-enlistment dice. We might need you yet." So we get a 9. So it's an honourable discharge. She resigns. We've done term 4. Our age is 34. We are the same age as Fiora. We will be entitled to, excuse me, per term of service mustering out 1, so that's 4. We achieved no rank. We didn't even achieve ensign. So we're just like a shipmate, one of the crew. We have not achieved any kind of status, so we will not be able to get a plus on this, but we do get 4 rolls. So let's go for a 2, and a 2. Yeah, I think that's the fairest. So we'll do 2 on the cash table first. Let's see what we get cash. So we get 8, we get 5, which is 20, and a 3, which is 5. So that's 25,000 credits. Okay, so that's a 2 of our rolls, and then we'll roll twice on the on this table here. So we get a 6, which is that's a high passage. Okay, and we get a 3, which is, oh, that's quite nice. That's +2 education. So we must go on an intensive bit of self-improvement at the end. That bumps us up to B, because that's up to 11. And I've got high passage. And I'm sorry if I do sound as though I'm sucking on a sweet. I am sucking on a sweet. It's a cough sweet, and it just helps soothe my throat. I do realise sometimes it must sound a bit irritating listening to someone, especially I've been trying to keep it in my cheek so that you can't hear it, me sucking away on it. Okay, right. I think we've almost reached the end of the road on that. A wee bit of a sad finish to Kira. I don't know if she's actually learned any life skills throughout. It's whether her cruel nature, kind of reflecting on her overall career. There isn't the scope for opportunity here. I'll probably change that to gun combat. So on our skill base, She can handle herself. She's quite good around the ship. And pilot one, that's a fantastic skill to have. Vac suit. So and the fact that she's got a bit of admin and even 0G, it's going to help if we have any off-board operations. I would say that there is potential there on the prerequisite, on the attributes. Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. Okay, so maybe not the Marine. If we've got the crewed naval crew member, with not a fantastic social status, so she's quite rough around the edges. Yeah, Kira's Kira. Okay, right. So that's us completed our character creation process. I'll do any kind of loose ends and whatever in the next one. We'll be into the point of me creating. Well, the next stage is creating the starting. Let's see if I get my original plan of attack. There we go. Campaign development. So we've done step one almost. I'll draw these characters up on nice sheets so that we've all got them on pages. Generate the starting world where the characters meet and begin their adventures. Going through the planetary stats, determine its ecology and culture. Keep a note of any interesting or potential adventure points. Well, that's basically what we're going to do next time. We're going to create our own starting world. There's going to be a few little constraints just to say it has to be in a certain range. That's more to do with the starport. It's not going to be a high-end starport. It's going to be at least a B or a C. It's not going to be a hole in the ground. But apart from that, it's almost like gloves are off. I'll generate anything. That will be basically our starting world. That's where we've been discharged. That's where the characters meet. That's where they're going to coalesce in probably a star hotel. That's what this line of hotels are called, the Star Hotel, run by the Dragon Corporation. That's where we're going to kick off. And get our characters starting to interact, and then we'll go into the process of kicking off in the starport and searching for our first patron and employment, and entering the Traveller universe. Here 1970s sci-fi. Here we come. Okay, well, thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time.